Greetings, I am Lies, and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal, and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together!
Woo!
Alrighty, we are in the dusty, dank, creepy, and like neglected hallway of Lucio's
It's the wing where the beast was. Oh, excuse me.
Aye, we've gone into the forbidden wing. Oh no!
Oh no, where's my little clock?
The eyes, they're gone.
She takes me by the shoulders and turns me around to face the wall, then lifts a hand to point towards a portrait.
See, I did. She pulled Corazon close and was like, I will hold you near me, it is chill.
It's great. They line the walls here, all handsome figures with gleaming smiles and golden hair.
Hundreds of portraits of Lucio, selfies for days.
Hey, you know, if you have that kind of money, that's what you do. You take selfies. And also you edit out any of the scars.
I mean, people have, like, finishing now on their phones. The painters had it back then, too.
I know.
I just, like, they're like, and could you give me that, you know, I saw this really great makeup with, that had the thing, oh, you mean wingtips? Yeah, could you paint that in? I don't know how to draw it.
Right? And all with their eyes gouged out by long scratches and rips that distort their beautiful faces.
We think Lucio's beautiful, apparently. Either that or this is his whole entire family line somehow. All of them with blonde hair.
Just Lucio.
Just him. Well, apparently, canonically, Corazon thinks his face is beautiful.
I mean, one can admire something and still think it's dumb as fuck. It's okay.
No, I'm just saying that is a thing. I'm not saying it's bad or good or otherwise.
Yeah.
Just knowledge.
I've always found that to be actually really funny, where somebody's like, you can't like that thing, it's bad. And you're like, I can admire it for what this other quality is, and also go, I don't like this other shit. It's fine.
It's still pretty.
Because you literally can't get away from, like, stuff having at least some elements of that's goofy. I don't like it.
I'd say one thing that I thought was really fun, though, in first-person books that I've kind of giggled at for a long time, is that a lot of authors will describe things that functionally their character doesn't really care about from their character's point of view. And one thing that I think is really, really great is reading it literally going, if the character took this much time to describe something as beautiful, charming, enchanting, it means they think it is. Yeah. Not it inherently is, but just they think it is. And for me, that builds a lot of character, and I think it's kind of fun, and it's hilarious. Now, the idea that if Corazon ever actually sees Lucio, they're like, there's that handsome idiot.
Ah, yes. There's the dumbass. All right, and also at the same time, too, actually, I wanted to sort of build off what my friend said, is you can also use it where actually the character can be pointing out, I know this face would be attractive. I don't really care, but I recognize that this would be an attractive person, or whatever it is.
There are so many opportunities to build character and world when you're in first person.
Right.
That I think a lot of people sort of, they have some challenge balancing because they're just, one, trying to tell the story, which is a feat in and of itself.
Oh, yeah.
And two, they're trying to describe the environment to you in what they consider to be an unbiased way, even though you're inside the narrator's head, so it's going to be biased.
Yeah, and it's like it needs to also be biased. You're in someone's head. Like, that's part of the fun.
But they want them to be a reliable narrator. It's like they still have opinions.
No, yeah.
I thought it was only a dream.
Though I will say, so for my exposure, I would request that if you're going to do that, please don't have a chronic liar as your main character.
Oh, those are so annoying.
Oh,
those are so
God.
frustrating.
Like,
and then none of the story happened that way at all, and it's fine.
Like,
My only opinion.
Yeah.
The hallway zooped towards us suddenly like they do in the horror movies, and then backed off again as Corazon was like, stay.
Yeah, pretty...
Did you hear that too?
Oh, would you like to take me on? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Hallway fronts. Corazon stands their ground.
Waiting.
Battle begins.
Da-da-da.
The sound came from Lucio's quarters. Well then, if my dead husband is still wandering these halls, I'd like to know.
It'd be important. Despite her words, there's an uncertainty to her now. Not an action, but like she's putting on a brave face. Because it is definitely a little surreal, and also someone who doesn't deal a lot with magic, Nadia might be still a little bit more uncomfortable.
Additionally, if you have any feelings, particularly strong feelings towards your ex, even if it's he has basically created a fucking mess out of this city, and it's my job alone and without support to fix it. It can be like, that can be like basically a level of like, sort of discomfort. Not really trauma, but like stress and anxiety.
Especially because she doesn't remember, and some of it might be basically based off of what she's heard of going, and now I've seen the disasters that this person has caused for you know, us wandering around the city and going, holy shit, what kind of person are you, right?
I'm also wondering, like, why Lucio married her. Like, he's got a whole city and a castle and everything, and then he's like, ah, yes, now all I need is a girl standing next to me, one that I don't like at all. Do it.
Brilliant.
Sounds wild. I'm like, whatever your romance was, I'm curious, you know?
Right? She glances down at my hand, and then reaches out to take it, squeezing lightly. Or there wasn't any romance. There wasn't... It wasn't any romance.
Right, or whatever it was, their courting period. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it was basically, what was their progress from I've met you to we're married?
Right.
So, holds hand tightly, firmly, looks at Corazon. You aren't frightened. Oh, hey, look at that.
It still looks super cool. I still like the way that this place looks.
It really does look very cool.
Everything is coated in a layer of powdery ash as we enter Lucio's room, tinging it a sickly grey. Even my light can't touch it. Warmth fading colorless? Warmth fading to colorless? Warmth fading color.
So the temperature turns colorless. I'm assuming warm colored light, so it was probably a yellowish or an orangish.
Well, that's what I was like, fading to a colorless tinge, or like it doesn't.
It's flowery pose. Warm fading colorless. It's a decorative way to say it.
Okay, man. As I step past the threshold.
Though for me, I'm going, was the light warm?
So you'll have to excuse me. Sometimes when I bring up stuff like that, it's because it feels like a little jarring, like suddenly somebody was like, I read a cool line and I'm going to insert it here, and it gets a little awkward because it doesn't...
It suddenly versus, like, it turns into a different voice.
Yes.
Like the author voice shifts.
Yes. Which isn't always a bad thing. You can use it, obviously, because different tones need to shift around in stories and in books, or in, basically, obviously, in visual novels, but it can get a little awkward if you're not consistent with it.
Okay, so we have his entire wing and all of his rooms, his entire suite, and we go to this one room. This is appalling. Did not one person think to clean up the remnants of Lucio's corpse? I'm amazed that he never had any kind of a burial or funeral or anything.
That's again where I'm like, I think everybody just fucking hated him.
I'm also like, though, but if she was functioning for 2 years, what was she doing during that time? And why wouldn't she have done this? Which I think she wants to know as well.
Yeah.
I think she's going, why wouldn't I have even done this?
Honestly, though, I will be really impressed if they actually bring up the idea of, like, Lucio's funeral at all. Because, so, hilariously enough, one of my exes actually wrote a story, a whole-ass book, and then, like, at the end of it, it had been several years where we'd gone back and forth over it. It was really funny, where she was like, oh, shit! I totally forgot to do a funeral bit. For this big, huge main character, like their wife, because they were so obsessed with basically, and excuse me, these are my words, so not theirs, because this is the way that I picture it, so the way that, with the other romance that was happening in the story, they completely dropped the dead wife.
And forgot to wrap that up functionally for the rest of the world, because they were focused on their one plot.
Yes.
Alright. Lucio's corpse. This won't do. If the servants won't clean it, I'll... You don't know that they won't clean it if you've never asked them to.
Yeah, I know.
I'll scrape the ash from the walls myself, I suppose.
She casts about the room, cataloguing every piece of scorched furniture, the great four-post bed covered in ash. There's something strange about the room.
I'm also very interested in going, okay, is this the only place that burned, or did people have to come put out a fire in the castle?
Right.
Like, is the whole wing sort of, like, inside this room and whatever connecting apartments, the way I know that usually, like, fancy people architecture works, the other rooms that you can open into, did any of them get burned or have ash poured into them, or do they get smoke damage, which is a really big thing? One of the biggest kinds of damage of a fire is actually smoke damage. So I'm wondering if this was a small, contained magical fire that didn't really burn most of the things in the room at all, just coated them in ash, and only burned the immediacy of the bed and his body.
Right. So here's a thing that I kind of have noticed sometimes with the Arcana, where I appreciate that they're trying to get you to pick things, but what confuses me sometimes is the lead up to these.
Okay.
What is your character looking at? You're not explaining what your character's looking at. You're not explaining what is this. Why are you asking, why did he retire early? Is there something in the room that basically would lead you to this?
Well, the thing is we've talked about that previously, but it seems she's very fixated on the dirt and dust and that his body is here.
No, and like even what happened to his body.
It seems
so I'm going
like
I've had problems with their choices before where I'm going like the lead up isn't there.
Right, the logical thing of why did he retire early and suddenly jumping into a point of investigation that you had been covering last with Valerius. Right from, I will clean this myself if I have to, seems very non sequitur.
Right? So I don't know.
So what happened to his buddy?
Sure, why not? What happened?
I don't think we're going to be, I mean, we've already actually asked about, like we know he left early, kind of thing, and we know we're going to be asking other people about it, kind of thing. I don't know.
What happened to his body?
Burned to ashes. I've gone over what we know of that night. There was no body. Okay, so I find it surprising that nobody thinks it was suspicious at all, and they're all so familiar with things that they don't think it was odd that it was burned completely to ashes.
But not the rest of the room?
Well, not even that. Just that in normal fire, even when you cremate a person, there's bones left.
Which is exactly, I think, what the point is here. That doesn't make any sense. The fire was so hot, it burned the body to ash.
Which I don't even know if is possible.
So why wasn't the rest of the room engulfed in flames too?
Okay, so that's good. But I was going to say, as far as I know, even cremation ovens don't get hot enough to make bones turn to ash.
Yes.
They become, like, carbonized for sure, and they're brittle, but they're still there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Like, dang. The furniture is fine. Even the sheets seem untouched.
Well, he also
Sort
then
of?
just tore the hell out of his room when he was sick.
Right.
So the sheets are maybe damaged, but they're not burned.
Right, which is different.
Yet more questions that beg answering.
Do we say that out loud? Excuse me?
Apparently you did, though I didn't think...
Why wouldn't you say that out loud and use that as a part of... I'm fine.
Or maybe
Sometimes I get annoyed because I'm like, I don't appreciate when actually authors will go and they're like, this thing, and then they never say, and then I bring up this observation to the other character, and then they respond. Like,
right.
I don't...
Or she's just responding to, it burned the body to ash, kind of thing. I don't know, but more questions, I don't know.
That doesn't work for me.
Not sure at all.
Her gaze turns to the wall. She takes my wrist, lifting my hand and the flame with it to illuminate what's got her attention. Are we gonna run into the portrait?
Yes, we are! It's the infamous portrait.
Where he has no junk.
Well, you know.
I'd...
Eyes untouched, or at least the one eye we can see.
She runs a hand over the painting, taking away light streaks of ash as she clears it from the sword.
Fascinating. I remember when he had this commissioned. Are you remembering this now, or do you know this? Like, is this a memory? I want the distinction between I know this and this is a memory coming back in the moment. Like, I, as a reader, want it so bad.
Yeah, it feels a little important.
It was a favorite. Even at his sickest, when he was completely bedridden, he couldn't stare across... He could stare across the room and gaze at it. Me, in all of my magnificence. There is a certain level that I've noticed in things that are intended for all audiences, where even the natural presence of, you know, assumed male-bodied junk that would be there is completely removed, and you don't draw it in the clothes even the way a regular person would have it there, because that could be considered sexual. There will be no bulge. Everything is tucked up in the tightest of panties.
It's true. Plus, also, I find it to be really humorous because based on some of the art, I actually keep expecting there to be either like a codpiece or the pants to be far more high-waisted. Yeah. And so, you know, in the style of Mr. Darcy, where you're like, that's just what we're doing. Here's your junk because that's what happens. You know, like, it just amuses me.
The thing is,
because you could do it as this is a classical painting, and in this case, you'd be accurate. You'd be like, this is a painting. So I don't know. It's fine. Gaze on it.
Yes. Remembering the glory days of his youth, a time when he felt the city still remembered him. Did
they forget him?
Okay, also,
what?
so he's been in this city forever. So,
what?
I guess he was ruling over the city long before Nadia came here, and then she came and went, I want to be a part of this, and for whatever reason they married.
I guess?
I mean, there you go. At the end, the past was all he could see. He used to speak of it as though he could cheat death itself.
He wanted to be a vampire.
He wanted to be immortal. I am immortal. I have inside me blood of kings. I have no rival.
Oh, that's really...
What was I doing with a man like him? You poor thing. You don't seem to remember. I imagine you would remember the lead up unless unless you didn't know him at all when you stepped on that bridge, and any of the times you'd ever been in Vesuvia, you have no memory of him at all, and you met him at the beginning of 3 years ago that you don't remember, and then during that time, you got married and had whatever experience you had, and then he died, and then you passed out, and then you woke up and you're here now, going, I don't even know. She doesn't even know why she chose him, perhaps. That's poor thing. He could be so cruel, so vain. Why did I stay with him? You remember those things. Not, I'm told we didn't get along. You actually remember those things.
I mean, why did you stay with him? Probably because of social pressure and acceptable mores of the time.
I imagine. Divorce is not usually common in most settings.
Also, which is really funny, because actually, if you look at the historical narrative across the world, it's actually really common. It was actually in tons of other cultures where they're just like, divorce is fine. Where you guys are shitholes. Like, yeah.
Where you didn't have a Puritan culture, it was much more fine.
Yes, because when you're not trying to control women's bodies or women's autonomy, of course you had more common, basically, like divorce or whatever.
I tried it. He was a shit, by the way.
We were done. Yeah. I wish, actually, though, more stories would do that, because, shockingly, whenever I've read fantasy throughout the years, it seems to have a really strong, like, white Christian bent on it, and there's a lot of, nobody ever gets a divorce, and I'm like, why?
And also a very strong patriarchal bent, and a lot of colonialism, usually.
It's very distressing.
Right. Why did I stay with him?
A whisper tickles at my ear. Hot breath that washes over me, making every hair stand on end.
Slowly moves gently away from the gross whisper. Like, excuse me.
That's, you smell.
Invasive. Is it vanity to want the world to gaze upon you? When you look that good, why would you hide it away?
Bitch. I whip my head around. I do not. I look slowly around, turning, looking for the source of the voice, and see nothing but shadow. We are alone.
Sometimes when you have...
That sounds like a challenge.
I was going to say, sometimes when you have chronic pain, and you've had it for a very long time, nothing surprises you because you know it hurts to be surprised.
I doubt, right?
Corazon? Corazon, are you quite well? Are you all right?
Heat tickles the back of my neck, creeping down my spine like little licks of flame.
Blah, 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 blah. Rude.
If you're trying to seduce me, it's not going to work. You're not very good at this.
What's that?
There's someone there, just on the edges of my peripheral vision. A figure that's gone when I turn to look. So what you should do is look straight ahead and then just rely on your peripheral vision and be aware of it, and you'll probably be able to see them, because that's usually how that works.
That one, or you don't look and you just elbow them in the gut.
I did. Dick shot with, with the cane.
Corazon flicks the cane up. Whack! Lucio,
hey. Nadia grips my shoulders, her hair falling into her eyes as she leans down towards me.
Why did we sit? The thing is the reason I got really intense, because she doesn't... she doesn't tilt her head towards me. She doesn't look down at me. So the level of, if someone's shorter than you, and I've been short most of my life, okay?
Your ex was literally, like, how many inches taller than you?
So, I've dated a couple of tall guys, and I was
Who's like a foot taller than you, just about, yeah?
I'd say about 9-10 inches.
No, about it, probably, well, okay, so your tall friend, though, he's like about a foot
My tall friend, who I've never dated, is more than a foot taller than me, and it's lovely. And the thing is he, like, leaned toward you to say something in confidence. Like, you have to be so much shorter to bend down to get close to someone. Now, he's done it once or twice, but it's this slight, sort of lean kind of thing. But, like, that is a foot of height difference for him to bend down. He's the only friend I have that really bends down to talk to me occasionally. And that's only if it's supposed to be, like, some sort of an inside joke. So I'm like, are they suggesting that the MC is a foot shorter than Nadia?
I mean, again, this is leaning, this is not bending. You could extrapolate quite a bit.
What I
from
mean,
that,
though,
but-
leaning or bending, like any amount of, other than I just look down at you, if you actually literally move down towards them, there's a much greater height difference. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of looking down, pointing my head
So
down.
the thing I think you're more irritated about is the lean paired with down.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was just she leans, because you can lean to the side or lean to the side.
If she just leans in, that would be one thing, and looks down. See, if she leaned in and looked down rather than leaned down, you're going to have less height difference.
Yes.
So that's that. So for anyone who's been like, and I'm going to call you out here, Drakonishi, like you don't have to be short. That is where I'm personally fixating on it. Having had a really tall stepdad, my first stepdad was 6'7",
Right.
as I say, and having dated a couple of tall boys, and having my very good tall best friend who is 6'5". There's a lot of, like, you don't lean down unless there's a massive height difference. So my mom is a few inches shorter than me, and there was more than a foot. Like, there was almost 1.5 foot height difference between her and her husband. So if you like height difference, my family's the one for you. Apparently. I was to say, and the thing is like, he would never really lean down. Like, he would lean over, and he would definitely look down, but the leaning down and over, it was a thing of, I'm talking really close to you, and because I'm really damn tall.
Right.
So, like, if he was talking to someone that was only 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 inches shorter than him, he never leaned down to talk to them unless he wanted his face right next to their ear.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly you just lean over, and leaning over makes you a bit shorter on its own.
Right, because you're wiggling out your hips. That
So
kind of thing.
this is the theme that I'm focusing on when I keep beleaguering this idea that they have a short MC. It is not she leans over, it's she leans down, and the action of leaning down is extreme. And now we can move forward.
It's okay.
You were acting strange. I have all of my attention focused on you, so I can tell every bit of minutia in your expression. I need you here with me, not distracted by whatever it is.
I'm trying to assess whether or not it's a danger. You're fine.
Oh, please.
She drops her gaze lower and doesn't remove her hands. If anything, they grip me tighter.
Now both of her hands are holding you. I didn't realize that. I thought it was one hand holding on to you.
I thought it was one hand too, but I guess it's the other hand now too?
Or now it is both.
And now it is both.
Poink.
I heard a voice.
I heard let's call it a voice.
Let's call it a voice. Let's be charitable here. A thud sounds from outside the room, loud enough to echo through the empty halls.
If you are trying to play a trick on us, it is in poor taste. Reveal yourself.
No answer for a long moment, until a thin, reedy noise rises up around us. A distant cackle that grows ever closer. A fierce wind whips around us, swirling dust and obscuring our visions.
Lovely.
Fur whips across my cheek in the flurry.
I'm just like, lovely. Lucio ash in our eyes. Thank. Did you? I can't. I keep trying. I can't peg him as Jersey. I keep wanting to.
Right.
Because I know it's
We're gonna have to spend more
thing.
time with it. We really haven't. It's okay.
I need to spend more time with him talking as a character is the problem. And I just haven't invested in it because there's been a lot going on lately. Did you miss me, Nadia?
It's just Nadia.
Nadia. Do you lie awake at night, waiting for me to come to you?
Bitch.
Yeah.
The voice grows louder still. Beside us, around us, a presence that fills up the room, sickly sweet and cloying.
Well, apparently he thought their sex life was really good, so that's good.
Maybe, yeah.
Waiting for me to come to your chambers at night. What else do you do at night as a married couple? In each other's chambers.
Ooh.
I'm here for you.
There, looming in front of the portrait that hangs upon the wall, a sickly figure, ragged and hunched.
It's Scrooge! Oh, sorry.
It lifts its head, great horns emerging from the darkness around it, casting long, pointed shadows across the painting's face.
Interesting.
Its red eyes bore into us as it speaks, the 5 black-clawed tips of its hands outstretched.
Clawed black tips. That's a ragged figure. I didn't realize that was considered ragged.
I also didn't realize that you wouldn't just say it's a goat.
Right?
Like, goat. Okay, so This is sort of, again, a weird nitpick that sometimes I have about authors being like, I will be extremely out there, and you're like, it's a fucking goat. Just say it's a goat.
So the thing is describing it in great detail. So the thing is if it's in my head and I'm the MC, I don't look at that and go curling horns, red eyes, scruffy fur, a ragged, sharp, black claws.
I think I know what a goat looks like.
What I do is I just go, it's a goat man.
Yeah.
I go, a demonic goat man? I'm like, goat man. So I think in the same way that we have Mothman, I feel like your MC's head would have to be extremely flowery in their reality to not just go, damn, goat man.
Right.
And then to go, they have all these things the author wishes to put in, and they're beautiful.
Right.
I think that's a good point, honestly. It suggests something very interesting about the character's voice in their own head.
Right.
To be like, this is how I would describe it. And the fact that, like, to me, it suggests a level of, like, real incredible shock. The level that you cannot take in the entire picture. You absolutely have to take in, compartmentalized pieces of it first before you can process the whole thing. That sounds like an incredible level of overwhelm. Like, I didn't see a dog. All I saw was sharp teeth and a frothing mouth,
Right.
That kind of thing. Anyway, you can always come home to me.
Nadia stumbles backwards, hitting the post of the grand bed behind us, and presses a hand to her chest, like she always does. I have to say...
No, she always gently strokes her collarbone. Right now, she has her hand pressed to her chest. Now, the hand is... She lets go of your hand and presses a hand to her chest.
Poof!
Pop!
Aye.
Okay? Come home. Come home. I don't want you here. No one wants you here. Why won't you leave me be?
She closes her eyes, trembling as she takes a single deep breath, regaining her composure. I turn to her.
Deep breath times. There we are.
I turn to her, body moving towards her. To hide behind her, to protect her. I know exactly what I'm doing. To protect her, it's fine. I know.
I was going to say, also, if she's still holding on to one of your hands, it's going to be hard to hide behind her.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just saying.
And when we both glance back to the portrait...
Wait, you stopped looking at the portrait?
The creature is gone.
Hang on! Her! I have made this incredible, angry, infuriated announcement!
Apparently, we followed our gaze, just followed Nadia. She stumbled back and watched her and not the figure. Which I think is ridiculous, because the more amount of danger/interest would be from him, not her.
And I suppose we look to her when she's speaking, because it's appropriate. And then she looks at us instead of at the goat when she's gaining... She looks down when she's trying to gain her composure.
That's true, yeah.
Okay, and so it's us looking at her and her looking down. And then we both look back at the space.
Right.
That's a level of formality to, instead of watching the ghostly, demonic figure in front of you, to watch the Countess while she's speaking. That's kind of impressive.
It kind of is. Going, oh, right, you're speaking. How can I help you? The creature is gone. All that greets us is the eerie silence of a hall long abandoned.
I love how offensive that would be to Lucio. I know that I am this ghastly, intense, ghostly figure. I'm here to shock you. I will look at Nadia when she's speaking. You are nothing. Excuse me?
What? Nadia is shaking as she casts her gaze about the room. One hand seeks out mine, fingers intertwining.
Again. There's a lot of grabbing, more grabbing,
More
again, re-grabbing. I let go, but I didn't let go, but I'm grabbing again anyways.
Yes.
It's okay. Many, many hands. Nadia has become Shiva, has the many hands. And holds on to you with many of them. Silent now, Lucio. Nothing left to say. That's a first. I wish to take my leave. Come, Corazon. There is nothing left to gain here. Not tonight. Not when I am tired and a bit overburdened, and now I realize my husband speaks.
She turns her back on the room, a slight tremor to her shoulders, and disappears down the hallway.
Whoosh.
As I leave, I swear I feel eyes boring into the back of my neck, hot and hungry.
He's bad at seduction, though. It's fine.
Oh, we will have a hot and hungry encounter later.
Later.
I'm sure.
I will kick your ass.
I'll return for you later.
Yes. Alrighty. I don't know who that is.
That's him.
Oh, of course, in the darkness. You'll be back.
Because I have to have the last word.
I'm gonna always have the last word. They always come back.
Nadia sits down at the small table on the veranda, eyes fixed on some distant horizon.
Is it dawn already? Did we lose the entire night? Look at this.
That would be amazing. There's a heaviness to the air, a ghastly fog that hangs all around us. It feels like being at a wake.
Oh, look, a funeral has happened.
Hey! I lower to the table next to her and stare out over the garden, unsure of what to say. I mean, I'm simply just waiting for her because this is her experience.
Right.
How to break the silence.
Going, I was just waiting for you to speak. Honestly, I would kind of just keep waiting for her, but,
I know, that's why I'm like, why would you...
I feel like Corazon would kind of be a shit about it, honestly. Just to,
Or just going like, Nadia, we're staying on task, yes?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Like,
going,
not a ghost that's new, but going like, because Corazon isn't concerned really about that sort of shit. He's not, like the Corazon is not playing with that sort of...
I was going to say that, yeah, they're not really from that. I was going to say, it could be one of those things of going, you're trying to lighten the mood, though, going, so, ghosts, you know? That's new, like a new addition to, you know, what you're figuring out. On the other hand, what do we do now? Sounds a
Going
little...
like, I need you to stay on task, is this what we're doing? Come on. Like, he's full of shit, it's fine. Like, that's kind of what I was thinking of. Like, the ghost that's new sounds too playful to me.
Okay.
Like, based off of that, going like, Nadia's clearly having a moment, so going, what do we do now?
Okay, sure,
So,
do it.
I don't know, that works better with me.
All right.
What do we do now?
Recomposes herself.
Nadia shakes her head, closing her eyes as she regains her composure.
I knew it! Got her!
I can hear her counting under her breath. When she hits 5, her eyes open once more, emotion pushed from them.
I used this technique all the time when I was married. I'm confident. I don't even need to remember. I feel it in my bones. There are 2 options available to us.
But you know what? We're gonna have to find out what they are in the next one! Hey! So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and also share our videos if you're having a good time with us. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi and our Patreon. We have some links in the description down below. And I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great playing with you. Bye!